Heard a lot about this show, the ExCandidates.
This has been a pretty thorough interview.
These institutions which we've been told to respect and trust are actually completely untrustworthy.
Have you confirmed that you are negative before attending tonight if you are unvaccinated?
I still see people with masks on and driving, and they're in the car by themselves.
So you can pay my electricity bill, you thieving little spit.
We're teaching them about what it means to be a pansexual instead of teaching them how to do your taxes.
It's no for me. I say no to the voice.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the ExCandidates. My name is Stephen Tripp, and as always, I'm joined by Adam Zara. How are you going, Adam?
Oh, I'm pretty good, Stephen. How you going, mate?
Adam, it's our anniversary.
1 year.
1 year of the ExCandidates.
I should have had one of those party poppers and a hat.
Yeah. So any interviews?
Awesome.
We've interviewed a lot of people. Any stand out for you over the last year?
Well, I just think, I think every single interviewee has a special place in my heart because I think they give everyone a bit of time and they give them that. You know what I want to say, actually, right, is that, no, we don't get paid. Our guests don't get paid. And we've had some pretty serious guests on. We've had guests that actually address American Congress. We've had guests that address Parliament. So we've spoken to some very, very, very official and senior people. And they're not getting paid for it. We don't get paid for it. So you're getting actually the real story. There's no motivation behind anything that we're doing. And I think that's a really important thing for people to understand. It is like free media. And, I always like speaking to people that have very interesting topics. I remember Professor Robin Cosford. She was very, very good. I've listened to that one multiple times. I've had the most nervous one the most nervous one was with I reckon Mark Latham, actually. I think I was the most nervous for Mark Latham.
No, for me it was Dr. Peter McCullough. My heart was pounding out of my chest for that one.
So Dr. Peter McCullough
and his complete bio, I'm trying to give him justice. I'm screwing up my words and everything.
I remember. I was in my work van doing that one because it was literally we had 6 hours notice.
And one day I'll release the blooper of me screwing it up the first time, and he goes, "Oh,
yeah." And then he knocked us because we weren't wearing ties. Amateurs. And you're just but we smashed him with some really good questions. But I think that was the most excited I was after an interview. I think because I had also been following, Dr. Peter McCullough, so that was a really good one. And it's always good to have prominent One Nation people on. I think I like we just did one with Malcolm Roberts.
Yep.
And it's always fun. He's a fun guy. You can have a bit of a laugh with him and, he knows what he's talking about, get serious. But I'm also really happy to have Johnny Yaps and Yaps, Yap, sorry, talking about.
I got you already.
You got me, Johnny Yap and Robert Nalbandian. So it's really good to have you guys on as well. So we'll see how it goes tonight, and maybe you might make it up into the top 5.
Well, let's introduce them. First, we've got Johnny Yap, the former UAP candidate, also fought MMA, one fight was it, and also commentate on the MMA as well. And you've got your own podcast, Johnny Yaps.
Yeah, that's
right. How you going,
so,
Johnny?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Was that everything? You kind of do everything.
Yeah. Look, there's plenty more to that. I guess to sort of keep it brief. The current things that I'm involved with. Yeah, it's a lot of combat sports, so mixed martial arts, boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, those sorts of things. And then aside from that, I hosted my own podcast, which is the Johnny Yaps podcast. That started actually before the whole, election campaign and all that sort of stuff. I actually started that project around end of 2019. And that actually came about because I had a good friend of mine commit suicide in 2019. And so it was, there's obviously, a bit of a backstory there, but, it's around the podcast that I run is more centered around, people and their stories. And not wanting to forget some of those things that, I shared with that friend of mine. And at the same time, sharing other people's stories. So, I always tell this story that selfishly, so I'm 39 now, but up until the age of, say, 35, I never really, which was when my friend passed away, I never really cared in terms of my own parents and what their story was. You just sort of take it for granted. Yeah. And having a mate who passed away who was very close to me, I started to really think about, okay, when is it that we're really gone from this world? And watching my kids grow up, and then realizing that, I do actually want to sit down and have a conversation with my dad. And I did that in episode 3 and got to like ask him all these questions about his upbringing and what life was like for him and how they made it to Australia. And I actually had the story.
Yeah, you made it a double, all right?
It was 1 hour each. Just
One hour,
chop
yeah.
right in, and then Johnny out and make an hour each. I have one question to the ex-candidate team.
Yo.
What's in the yellow canned drinks behind you?
Radiation.
Oh, nice. Give me some.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'll let Adam.
The
This is Adam's deal, so Adam can talk.
Nice. Because you don't need much.
So what all this is about, right, is that if we went to nuclear, from birth to death, that's how much uranium that's how much waste you would produce in your entire life if we went to uranium.
You've been talking to Paul, haven't you?
Sorry?
You've been talking to Paul Vallejo.
We did talk to Paul, but
Dr. Ian Plimer. Who else was it? Who else did we have? Pamela Jones.
Michael Schellenberger.
Yeah.
Even Malcolm Roberts knows about this stuff.
Malcolm Roberts. But that's what I'm saying. And what we use it for, I used it in a speech once because what happened was it puts a perspective on it. So you could, and Stevens used this analogy. This is Stevens' analogy, is that, you could have, you and the man and wife could be pregnant with their child. They could go to a nuclear facility and go pick out their can of uranium that they're going to buy for their child, and that's the child's energy for the rest of their life. That will power their life. And the beautiful thing about this one is that they can re-enrich it and use it again.
That's right.
So, you know what I mean? Like, so that's what the cans are.
Awesome. I was thinking, hey, they've both got the same can. I'm a bit perspective like that. Perceptive, I would say. So yeah, thanks for having me. It was good.
Thank you, Johnny. Plug your. How can people follow you? Plug your social media and plug your podcast. Let us know all about it.
So it's literally the Johnny Yaps podcast. You can find it on YouTube, Instagram. I am on TikTok. All those different places. I finally started, putting some clips up. I was very poor at marketing it. I'm still very poor at marketing it. But if you're interested in hearing about different people's lives, from athletes to politicians to XYZ, I've had a real mix of people on the podcast, and hopefully one of you guys will come, or both of you guys can more than welcome to join me on the podcast. Soon. I'll tell you a funny story actually just before we sign off. So when I was going through the whole candidacy thing as well, and running as a candidate, when I used to get attacked by people for my views or whatever, I would actually invite them on the podcast, and because I'm curious about their perspective. Like I actually, I'm actually very welcoming of anyone that wants to come on the podcast. And part of the reason for that is because I actually want to understand, how did they get to this position in life where they view and they believe the things that they believe, right? Because, when we talk about, you can hide a lot, but you can't really hide from me in a 2-hour podcast.
That's right.
So I'm going to get the story, some way or another. Either that, or we're just going to have a really awkward time for 2 hours as we look at each other's eyes and record nothing. So
that happened?
No, unfortunately, no one ever took me up on the offer.
No, but have you had the 2 hours of awkwardness where you like really pushing the conversation?
Oh yeah, that has happened. Not with not with somebody politically minded, but that one was just I think what the guy was expecting, and I probably perhaps didn't articulate it very well, and then we just had this bit of an awkward conversation, and then afterwards, and I've got this rule where with all my guests is that if you don't want it to go up, I just don't put it up, because but I don't really edit. Like the conversations are unfiltered unless you go and mention somebody's name that you shouldn't. Then I'll take that out, but I try and keep it as low edit as possible. So from that perspective, it was just afterwards we had a conversation. I was like, okay, let's just re-record it and forget about that episode. But yeah, so anyone's welcome if you've listened to this the Ex-Candidates podcast and you disagree with anything that all of us have said today, you're more than welcome to come on the podcast, share your story, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then please come and articulate your views, because perhaps maybe our logic is flawed too, and I'd like to understand why.
Yeah, well, put me on the list. I'll be happy to do it. I'm sure Adam will.
I'll get on there. Why not?
My YouTube channel's a little bit different. Mine's very religious based Christianity. Just I Am Nalbandian. I just did it during the pandemic. I'm like, something's wrong. This is not right. And my analogy was there's a fire burning over far away from me. How long before it catches up and starts consuming where I'm at? So, they're locking down everywhere else except our area. So, yeah, just on YouTube, and I'm on Facebook if you want to reach out. And
what's your Facebook?
Robert Nalbandian. So if you click on I Am Nalbandian, if you go to the actual, I haven't spent a lot of time doing it since I only got 12 subscribers, so I'm kind of still new at all this.
And this is you protesting.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, the Daily Mail article on that called me anti-vax. I didn't mention vaccines once. They called us all sorts of names. Oh man, and I think we all experienced that during the campaigning. The media twist stuff to a point where, like, hey, you guys are technically lying. Like, you're being like, you're putting the points, but you're portraying it in a way that's incorrect, and you're giving people the wrong idea. So, yeah.
Well, that's part of running as a candidate. Your eyes are wide to a lot of things that you hear about, but until you experience it yourself, you're like, wow, this really happens. Yeah.
Really bad, eh?
And if there's any single unvaccinated ladies out there, preferably that live close to North Sydney.
I can drive.
He'll drive anywhere.
The borders are open now.
Don't be desperate, mate. Like, don't come across desperate, all right? Like, you got someone close to you. No, well, he won't drive to you. He's not going to drive miles to you, all right? Like, you want to be within 20 minutes.
Look, sometimes for quality, you have to go far, right?
All right. I'll pay that.
Sometimes.
Well, on that note, we better wrap it up. Thank you, all of you, for tonight. Thank you, Adam. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it far and wide, as we always ask, because we do rely on our watchers to share it out to everyone, because we're not the best whiz kids at social media and marketing and all that sort of stuff. So if you can get it out there, please do, and follow us on Facebook and all those social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.